Sharon, thank you for joining me this week. It's a great pleasure to have you on my podcast.
Oh, James, as you said, I've been looking forward to this conversation all week. Thrilled to be
Yeah,
here with you.
I'm sort of excited for it too. And you're in Galway, aren't you, Sharon?
Yeah, in the
Mhm.
west of Ireland, the wild, wonderful west, where
Right.
everyone thinks it rains all the time. But I promise you, we have sunshine.
And we've been having a great spell of weather. Fingers crossed it will last. Anyway, I was mentioning there in the introduction that I read your book, wonderfully titled "Someone Please Help Me." So I did. So for those of you watching on YouTube, there's the cover. And I read a lot of books, and uh, some you sort of know that are written from the ego type of thing. You know, they don't land. But I have to say, this book, I think I read it in three sittings because I just kept going with it. And I think, as I said to you on an email, it reminded me very much of the Louise Hay book, You Can Heal Your Life, because I think it's full of heart and authenticity. And of course, it covers your story. And I love that Brené Brown quote. And I think you know it too, the one where, you know, when we take ownership of our story, we get to write a brave new ending. And my sense is that quote could have been written about you, Sharon. So
Oh.
for the listeners tuning in, maybe give us a sense of your story and the challenges and the challenges overcome.
Thank you, James. And thank you for reading my story and giving me that wonderful sense of it because it is the feeling of, and I love reading and I love words, but I love the feeling I get from words and from
Yes.
books and from poems and quotes. It's how it makes me feel. So when you emailed me and said that what you could feel, oh, but sure, my heart was open here and so happy. So, yes, and the book really came from years of journaling and writing down what I was going through, what I was feeling when I couldn't make sense of it or I couldn't speak it out loud to anybody else. And of course, that started from childhood and through years of experienced sexual abuse. Again, not understanding that terminology, knowing that I was being hurt or betrayed by somebody that, should have been protecting me. So again, people will say, well, why didn't you say something? Again, it was I was born in 1971, so it was back in the 70s and 80s when, there wasn't the awareness out there. Everything was brushed under the carpet. But I'm leaving home at 17. I thought I was free and I thought I was going to go out into the world. And now I had the independence. But I realized that I really wasn't free of the pain and I had huge anxiety, which led to a lot of depression. And it was just like a roller coaster for me. I didn't know who I was. I
Mm,
didn't know that I could choose to be. I knew that later on. But there was so many effects of that trauma, not just of the abuse itself, but the fear of the abuse, the fear of not being in control and having no power in my own life as a child or adolescence. So at the age of nearly 24, I just couldn't live with the pain any longer. And the only way I thought or believed I could escape that pain was by taking my own life. In that process, I remember it so well because I literally just gave up. I just
mm,
couldn't fight any longer. And I felt like I broke into a million pieces. I felt like I had completely disappeared or was disappearing. But in those moments, I think I had to fall apart. I think I had to let go of the masks and protection that I'd put around myself to keep myself safe from being abused, from being hurt, or from anyone knowing the shame and guilt that I carried inside. But they weren't serving me any longer. And that's why I felt I was disappearing.
mm,
And I do believe in the depression, I just got exhausted from pretending that I was okay. And in now I can see in hindsight that I was offering myself that freedom, but I didn't see it at the time. And when I obviously chose to live, I realized that I'm going to have to make these choices every day. It was now my
mm.
responsibility. And that was the scariest time for me because now it was up to me. There was no one, controlling me or having power over my life. It was now Sharon's choice every day. But over time, I got to realize that the choices I made for myself were ones that I wanted to make not what I had to do to keep
Right.
safe and to stay alive. And at the start, and all through those years, I was surviving. But for many of the years, even after the age of 24, I felt like I was still surviving. I still was trying to survive the pain and suffering that I had felt inside and how I was going to deal with that, not in life, but in my mind and in my heart. Because my mind, and you've seen in the book, I kept myself prisoner in my own mind for a long time. And I was the only one that had the key to open that door, to unlock and reveal who I was. So in journaling, it allowed me to write down my deepest, darkest thoughts. And as a result of that, years later, I had my book,
Yes.
which I never thought, and I never thought about publishing the book. It was my story, and it was still very sacred to me. And the first manuscript that I actually wrote, the publisher said, "Oh, yeah, we're going to publish this." And then I just stopped and I said, "No, I can't send this out into the world. This is not who I am now." And that's when I realized that I had made a huge transformation in the way I thought about things, what I believed about myself. So I ditched the first manuscript and I rewrote it all again. And you have now, obviously, after the final edits, the book that
Yes.
has all of that encompassed.
Yeah, yeah, and as I say, I read a lot, but it's one that I know I will reread, and that's a testament because, and I think as I said to you, when we exchanged emails, my story is different, but I could see so many parallels with
Mm.
it. There was a similar arc. When you were speaking there, a word that popped into my mind, and I just wonder, and I'm thinking this out loud, Sharon.
Yeah.
Um, do we all reach a point in our personal development journeys where we just have to surrender?
Mm. I love that word, surrender. It's one of the things that I believe in our lifetime we have to surrender. Maybe not fully, but we have to surrender the belief that we can control everything, that we have a handle on everything. And surrender is not a weakness. Surrender to me is the most valuable asset we have. Some days I used to say, I just don't know how to resolve this. I don't know how to figure it out. So I'm going to just surrender it. I'm going to let go of trying so hard. And I found that the more I surrendered, the more peaceful I became. I
Yes,
wasn't trying to fight it or make it look like something. I surrendered to it. So for many people that obviously like you, James, that have read the book, they contacted me afterwards. And even still, I'm getting people saying, I picked up your book again, Sharon,
mm,
and I opened it just randomly in a page and it spoke to me. And they have it beside their bed. And I just think that is amazing, because I published it in 2017 and
mm,
that it's still helping people or accompanying them on their journeys. And again, it is for me, the whole point of it was because I had no voice and I felt completely isolated and alone, that I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. And
yes,
what I was saying, even though it was hard to read, there was so many other people that were experiencing, like you, James, that there was similarities in it and we can resonate with it and they'd feel less alone. And
yes,
that's what we all want in this world.
yeah, yeah. A sense of hope, and again, the phrase that I'm sure you know it is that great Ram Dass quote of "Well, we're all just really walking each other home,"
Mm.
and and I think your book and your work, which we'll get into now in a sec,
Yeah.
is like a beacon for people.
Yeah.
It's like the lighthouse. It's
Mm,
a pathfinder, as it were.
mm.
Looking back, and I think this is something that I find fascinating myself with my own journey. But looking back, is there anything that surprised you about your own transformation journey, Sharon?
Everything. Yeah, I still feel, James, I have so much more to do.
Mm.
I still feel that I'm still learning every single day. And people say, "Oh my God, you're so well established and you've done so much and you do all of these things." And I don't think of myself, it's like the intro. I don't see myself as all of that. I just wake up in the morning and I'm Sharon and I'm breathing and I'm alive and I'm grateful and I do what I need to do, have my breakfast shower, all of
Yes.
those things. And, you know, But I'm so grateful. And I think people find that very hard to believe that when you have come through so much, and again, there is many people that have gone through 10 times worse and are going through 10 times worse. But I'm so grateful that I had the awareness and I made the choices to reveal myself to me,
Yeah.
that I had the awareness and choice to learn to love myself, even with all of the suffering and beliefs about not being good enough or not deserving love in my life. I'm so grateful that I can have these conversations with wonderful people like you that are so heart centered and heart led, and that we're not afraid to have these discussions anymore, and that it's opening up more and more, and other people listening will say, oh, maybe I can make a choice today for myself. And all again because, you know, I'm a huge mindful advocate, and I would
Mm.
say it is only for today, it is just for this
Yes.
moment. And if we can do that for ourselves today, you know, tomorrow will come and we'll deal with it then. But for right now, the gratitude that I have, even the gratitude here talking to you, and I said that to you, it's
Mm.
just grateful for the moments and the experiences I've given myself, and also been offered the opportunities I've been offered because I fell apart. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Yeah. It's the breakdown before the breakthrough.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Goodness. Um, the I mentioned in the intro, there's so many elements to the work that you do, and I think they're all just an expression of who you are, and it's a different way of engaging with people. But maybe give us a sense of maybe a typical week for you, or the different aspects to your work, Sharon.
Hmm. I don't think I ever have a typical week, which is fabulous for me
Yeah.
because, again, I am Aquarian and I am a dreamer, and I get so excited and so passionate about things, and I have loads of ideas, and I'm going, oh my God, that'd be amazing, let's do that now. And then
Yes.
I look at my schedule and go, all right, we'll have to schedule that in somewhere. So that aspect of it is, I love to be kind of spontaneous at times. But again, obviously, we have to plan our working week and plan our time off and time for our family and all of those things. But one of the things I love to do is, if I do get an idea or an inspiration, I write it down and I come back to it, which is lovely. So that kind of fills me as I
Mm.
have my scheduled week.
Mm.
So again, my work offers me loads of variety. Again, one thing I'm very grateful for. So only this week I was in Galway City in the woods working with a group, and it was a mindful walk and talk. It was a beautiful morning. We had class for an hour and then we went out for an hour into the woods. I mean, hello, you couldn't have a
Bliss.
better,
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, beautiful. And then I would work online with clients, and I would work in person with clients here in my therapy room in Corofin in County Galway. And then I could be online with my community. I could be different meetings with different things that are coming up, different events. So it is still varied, but I try and stick with 3 days of working with clients, and then giving myself 2 days where, you know, I could be working out of the house and somewhere
Yes.
else and with a group or organization. And then I would work some weekends with groups. I teach Reiki as well. I run retreats, weekend retreats, which again, I meet so many amazing people. I get to work in different areas, and no retreat is ever the same,
Mm.
because I smiled, and I'm not sure if I said this to you, James, before, but when I did my first retreat, I only did it because somebody said, would you do something different? And we'd like to stay overnight and whatever, all of these things. And I was like, I don't even know how to run a retreat. What am I supposed to do with these people? And there was 28 people that turned up for
That's
two and a
right.
half days. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? But I stopped myself in that moment and said, do what you always do, Sharon. Listen to the energy of the group, the same way you listen to the energy of a one-to-one client.
Mm.
What is it they need in that moment? So I had this beautiful team schedule all done out and everything. And after the first evening where we did the opening circle, the schedule went out the window. It went out the window, apart from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And even
Yes.
those, we were all over the place, because it was so powerful. The honesty, the vulnerability, the openness of people when you allow them And that's one of the things that I suppose I allow myself, so I allow others to be who they are. And
Mm,
through that, then the energy of the group brings us where we need to be. And
mm,
I have done that since my very first retreat, going back 2011, I think it was. And every year after that, I've ran 2 or 3 retreats, sometimes 4, and they're all different. And
mm,
even if people return, once every year, they always say the retreats are completely different than the one they had been to the previous year. And for me, it's all about the essence of connecting to ourselves, connecting to others, sharing those stories of vulnerability, but finding that power within ourselves and
yes,
saying we can do that through humor, through our release of
yes.
tears, through that connection and conversations, and through the quiet spaces that we allow ourselves to be in. So my work incorporates so much, but it always comes down to really connection with the person. Um, Again, I work in the present moment, I work energetically. So, like all of us, we have big, long stories behind us, and those stories could take forever to get through. But so I work on energetically what is affecting you right now, and we work on that so that we can move forward, not
Yes,
back. So, yeah,
yes.
I love what I do.
Yeah, well, that's so obvious because it shines from you and it's magnetic. That's why you'd attract in who's meant to be there.
Mm.
I could learn from you, Sharon. I would classify myself as being a reformed perfectionist. And my life lesson this time around is leaning away from control and towards trust. And when
Mm.
you were speaking there, it was just the word trust that kept popping off in my head, which of course is similar-ish to
Mm.
surrender when you think about it. Um, and when I'm working with groups, say, because I'm better at it with one-to-one, I think I'm much more in the present and the
Mm.
synergy in the room. And I often say with one-to-one, it's 1 plus 1, and then there's other stuff going on in the room
Yeah.
when we're all present. But with the groups, I sort of say, well, I'm aiming for first class honors here, 70%. Let me have a good sense of 70% of it and leave the space then for the synergy or for the new things
Yes.
to pop up. But I know, and this is my challenge, is the less quote unquote prepared I am, usually the better the sessions are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that
Yes,
requires me to
James.
trust.
Yeah. But that's why I say we are still learning, and I think what I feel, not what I think, what I feel the most is I have learned most about myself and my work from my clients and from my groups.
Yes.
And even only a few weeks ago, I had a training weekend for my Reiki students, and I sat there in awe of each and every one of them. And they were looking at me nearly with my mouth open, and they were saying, kind of, what are you waiting for, Sharon? And I said, I'm absorbing all of the beautiful information that you've shared with me. I said, because it stays with me. Conversations, what people say from the heart, even from the
Yes.
hardest, most vulnerable place, really stay with me. And it helps me to be a better teacher. It helps me to be a better listener. It helps me to be able to understand that just because we might go through similar things doesn't mean we all react or respond the same. And that even though I'm as far as I am, in my healing journey, that there's still people that haven't even started
Yeah.
and they can't even find that next step. They don't know where it is. So to meet people where they are constantly, no matter where they are in their lives, what they're doing, to meet them where they are. And that is that presence and that is that.
Yes.
And you're surrendering again to the
Yes.
moment. You're surrendering to, I don't have to know the answer for this person. I just have to be here with them.
Yeah. To be present for them. And I'm
Yeah.
quite sure, I know I have found myself, there are times when it's like, what has come out of my mouth? It's like, they're not my words. I'm sure
Yeah.
you found that, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It's like we're a
Absolutely.
conduit for something.
Oh, definitely, James. My trust in almost receiving the guidance or wisdom in times when I don't have that answer or those words, that again, that trust and belief that it comes out. And even sometimes through writing, I find if I just let the words flow, almost like channel automatic
Yes.
writing, I let them flow and then I go back to read it and go, did I write that? I am so intelligent.
But at least put it this way, if I went back to read it, my writing is so bad I wouldn't be able to decipher it anyway. It's like unless I have typed
Yeah,
it.
it's just so funny, isn't it? And I think, again, not striving for perfectionism and allowing those words really from your heart and soul to flow is when our real truth comes
Yes.
out. And that's when the reader or the listener resonates with it because they know it's not the script as such, it's not the it's like somebody said to me recently, I've spoken on many podcasts, I've spoken in groups and different things, and they said every time you tell your story, Sharon, you tell it very differently. And I said, yes, because it was moving, it was a living story, and the words in the book are fixed. But when
Yes.
I'm speaking it, I'm still feeling, I'm not attached to the story. I've now given it out to others, but I still feel the love for the little girl that got me to where I am today. So I honor her by
Yes.
sharing that story with love and compassion because she is the start of my story in
Yeah.
so many ways. And she gave me this path to be able to transform and heal.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. As I put into something recently, it's like, the memory or the mind that experienced it is now not the same mind that can look back on it, or the mind that goes back to the memories is viewing it through either the distance of time or the wisdom that we have now. But
Yeah.
what I found in my own personal development journey, there was always that bit around healing the inner child, which
Mm.
I get, and has been very powerful. But what I didn't realize is that the inner child is perhaps one of my biggest teachers. It's the other way around. Um,
Yes, when I'm doing inner child work, I love that you said that, and I had a group one day and I would start, of course, I'm quite humorous, and I love a good laugh and everything. And I said, your inner child is there going, stop feeling feckin' sorry for me. I got you there and
yes.
you're still whinging. You know, and I'm like, yes, they were the courageous and the brave ones because they had to survive or get through or move through whatever
Yes.
challenges they had. So we look at them with pity sometimes, and I'm going, they're pitying us because they're going, now you're grown up and you're still not happy, So what is it? So for me, my inner child has said she's my hero. She's the one that had the courage and bravery to take those steps and to help me to grow and to become who I am. And when I look back to her now, she's so quiet and peaceful and calm in herself because she says, I don't need to be the sad victim that you used to make me out to be. She said, I have moved on from that. So it's like I've reconnected that parts of us that were separated
Yes.
and we've
Yes.
become whole and that
Lovely.
we carry all parts with us now and it's all okay. It's okay
Yes.
to carry all those parts
Yes.
together.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that's beautiful. Beautifully said. For people who want to find out more about you, Sharon, I know you've got all the social media, you've got the website. Maybe share a few of the ways people can contact you or find out more about you.
Of course, yes. So you can find me through my website, SharonFitzmauriceMindfulness.com. I'm on Instagram at SharonFitzmaurice_wellbeing. I'm on LinkedIn, it's just Sharon Fitzmaurice. And I'm on Facebook as Sharon Fitzmaurice. And of course, I'm on YouTube and the Sharon
Yes.
Fitzmaurice podcast. And I have recently joined Substack. So you can find me
Okay.
there as well. That's a new tool to use. And I'm only figuring it out. So if you are on it, please forgive me because I'm just learning to post a video and just about able to post a note on it. Other than that, I
Gotcha.
haven't a clue.
I know it's like we do the work we love, and then there's all the media production that goes with it.
Yes, and I'm not very technical, but again, I should have to stop saying that because I have learned. I
Yeah.
was afraid to turn on a computer years ago, and now I'm able to use the computer. I'm able to do lots of things with it. So it has given me another path to reach out to people and to support people. So I'm grateful for what I know so far, and I know I
Yeah.
will learn more.
Yeah. As ever, as you were saying, that's constant evolvement as
Yeah.
well. The
Mm.
with all the work that you do, and at the end, it's hearts connecting with hearts or souls connecting with souls. And do you find in recent times there's any common themes or trends that continue to pop up with people? Now, everyone's story is different, we know that,
Mm,
but the same type of issues that pop up over and over.
mm. I think when it comes down to the heart of it or the root of it with most people, it's the belief that they're worthy of love and peace and joy. And one of the things I'd say, I say, well, what would you like? How would you like to have me? Oh, I just want to be happy. And I'll say, well,
Yes,
what does happy look like? Tell me where it is in your body.
yes,
What do you want that
yes.
picture of happiness to look like? And it's a reminder that happiness and joy are all fleeting moments in our life. We don't all go, I'm quite joyful in myself and I smile and I laugh and everything, but I have moments of contemplation, moments of reflection, moments of sadness. I have moments of where I feel unworthy. I doubt myself. I have all of those moments. They're all intertwined in maybe it could be an hour or it could be 24 hours. But to remember that it is just the moments. But when we tell ourselves those stories, that I don't have happiness in my life. And then if we get down to it and I'll say, okay, tell me about your children or tell me about your best friend and they're smiling. Is that not happiness?
Yes,
Is
yes,
that not a joy in your life? But you've forgotten it because you're looking out here for the bigger picture of what that joy and happiness should look like. And for me, joy and happiness, I bring them all together in a little bank and I store them in my mind and my heart. And on the days when I don't feel as joyful, I go back into a joyful memory and I sit with it. And next thing I'm smiling, next thing I can feel it in my body. And it's a reminder for me, especially in my mindful practices, I can have both. I can
mm,
have the joy and I can have the sadness each day, but I have to remind myself, James, even after all these years, because we can easily fall down into the hole and leave ourselves there. And we don't even ask for support. We don't put our hand up because we're afraid of being judged or
yes.
afraid of what people will think of us. And for me, it's that people are too busy thinking about themselves. Think about
Always.
you. Think
Mm,
about you. What do you need today? What is going to help you in this moment? Even if it is just to stop for a moment and ask yourself that question. Even in doing that, you're shifting something within your mind and within your energy to say, I deserve to take this moment to ask myself this question, to have this conversation with myself, and not to wait for someone to come and ask me how I am because that might not happen in that day. And then you feel more isolated and nobody cares. And you create this story and that becomes then your behavior and your
yes.
experience. So for me, it's have that conversation with yourself. Come back into you daily. I had that at the sink this morning, between coming onto you and recording a podcast earlier. And for a moment, I was getting a bit flickered, and oh my God, I should do this now, da, da, da. And then I stopped and I just said, what do you need right now, Sharon?
Mm,
And it was a drink of water and sit in the garden for a few minutes because the busier you are is the time you need to sit the most and take those little purposeful pauses and breaks. They're so important. And people think, oh, sure, what does that matter? I'll tell you, you start doing it on a regular basis and you'll see the difference it makes in your life.
that's something I need to take from her today. Because I was going to ask you around, with the work we do, and I know sometimes I can feel energetically drained after working
Mm,
with clients or big groups or whatever, because all of me goes into it. So I
yeah.
was going to say, well, ask it on behalf of a friend. How do you stay grounded? But I think you've just said that, and it reminds me of something I stumbled across on Instagram this morning. You know the way sometimes you can get a quote or something pops up and it's like, that's my message for today. And it was like, you're not a machine,
Hmm.
you're a soul, and a soul needs sunrises and connection and playing with the dog and whatever else. I was like, that's
Yes.
so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
We're not machines designed solely for productive output.
Yes. And again, we have this, and I heard myself saying it only a few months ago. A friend phoned me up and I said, I'm not going to say busy because we can
Mm,
only get busy in our minds. I said, I'm productive. But even with that word, I was like, why do you have to be so productive? you know. So again, I had to have a conversation with myself, even around those words and why I felt I needed to be productive. You know, why couldn't I be unproductive? Why do we feel this need to keep doing? And, filling up our schedules. I know we have to live. Obviously, we
Yes.
have to live. But planning ahead, even for me, sometimes it just seems to get busier. And I always say I'm grateful for the opportunities. But I remember one day saying, going, thank you, but can you give the opportunities a break now for a few weeks, please? Thank you very much. But then, of course, you get another opportunity. And it's not that you don't want to say no, because for me, it's like, there's a reason you've been asked. These people think enough of you,
Yes.
that they would like you to do this to share with their audience. And are you going to say, oh, I'm just too tired today? Because I know once I get into that space, like you,
Yes.
James, I am fully alive, fully present. I'm listening to the energy of the people, and I can see their eyes fixated on what I'm sharing and that they're getting something from it. So I celebrate afterwards and I go, sometimes it's okay to be tired, but it's okay to say as well, go and do this thing
Mm.
because you know you're going to feel really good. But we need to believe that we're allowed to have unproductive times. It's again to do nothing, to sit up with our feet in the garden and just be ourselves and be
Yeah.
present with who we are in that moment and not to feel like, oh, I should be doing all of this. There's so much else to do. So I'm still having those conversations, James,
Yeah.
with myself. But one of the things I do in my work, and this may help you because I know you're a beautiful writer as well and you do journal. But after the end of a day with clients, one-to-one clients in particular, I journal every day and I write about, what has shown up in the day for my clients. Is there a way that I could help support them further in maybe the next session, but also what I learned from the experience myself. So every day, I always say that you're learning something about yourself and you're learning something about somebody else and how you can support them if they are your client. Obviously, not the world. I can't support the world. But yeah, so in that journaling, it gets it out of my head. So by the time I come down to my dining room, into my kitchen, that I have almost parted and I'm just me again. I'm
Yes.
just Sharon with the dog and my husband and having to cook the dinner and clean the dishes and sweep the floor, whatever it is, and that I'm not carrying it around with me. Because there was a time when I started out, James, that I felt responsible, that I had to fix everybody. And it was through many experiences with wonderful clients, some of them not present in the world anymore, that it taught me you can't fix anybody. The soul chooses what it wants, just like I chose to live or to stay
Hmm.
or to go, and that I'm choosing every single day what that life is going to look like. And I still have no control about what the future is going to bring
Mm.
towards my
Mm.
door. But that right now in this moment, the choice is to be here and to be present. So as I'm sitting talking to you, it doesn't matter what's going on in the rest of the world, because right now in this moment, everything is okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. When you were speaking there, Sharon, what struck me was, there's that old, so many of us run the pattern of striving until we arrive. Let me get this done, this done, this done, this done, and then I can go to the garden and sit down and relax.
Yeah.
Or, the one day itis, as I sometimes phrase it, one day this, or, what I've come to realize, and it echoes what you were saying earlier too, is that there is no there. Like there's no there. There is only now, if we paraphrase Eckhart Tolle. And there's no day when things will be sorted, or I'll be sorted. There's the constant evolvement or the constant unfolding, as it were.
Mm.
And it sort of links into some pieces I've done before, say on work-life balance or work-life blend. Whereas I've come to realize now that it's really just about balance and like how balanced do I feel in the moment? Because there's times when I certainly don't feel balanced in the moment, frantic and running around the place. And then that's a prompt to go back and to be still
Mm.
again. And
Yeah.
and that's still something I'm working on and learning, and probably will continue to have to work on.
And you know
Um,
what? And that's okay. And I think that's the acceptance of it is Well, it doesn't matter how much we've done before. As I said, you could have all the degrees in the world, have written 100,000 books. You could have achieved, the biggest challenges in the world, physically, Mount Everest, all of those things, but you're still learning about yourself. You're still faced with this conversation in your
Mm,
mind.
mm,
This is the biggest conflict we will have in our lives, is the conversations we have with ourselves in our own minds. It's not about anybody else. And so when I hear those conversations in my mind, and again, obviously I have, become more and more aware of them as the years have gone on, and how quite easily we can slip into that negative bias and become,
yes.
our enemy, our biggest enemy of ourselves. So I always say, get out of your head and into your heart, Sharon. And that's where I do. And I would say to everyone, connect daily into your heart, place your hand on your heart, remind yourself, let your physical body know that you're here, you're actually
Mm,
here with it. And
mm,
just even to breathe into that for a moment and say, well, what do I need right now? And just that simple question starts to calm the nervous system. The mind is
mm,
starting to come down into the heart, and you can breathe a sigh of relief. And if it's just that you do in your practice, it's great. That's a brilliant start. Then to move on from that questioning and what do I need? If you don't even know, go outside, even if you have tarmac, if you have grass, whatever it is, take your shoes off and just stand on the earth for a few moments. It's a wonderful way to actually ground yourself and be present. Before you know it, you're actually looking around and observing the world around you and realizing that the world will go on no matter what's going on in your head. But do you want to be part of it, or do you want to keep yourself locked away in here with a conversation that is not serving you today or any other
yes.
day? So
Yeah.
again, moving into the heart space, just love you for who you are today, the
Yeah.
acceptance of I'm not perfect, I never will be, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I am
It is,
enough.
I am enough. It is the toughest journey from the head to the heart. I mean, that's it, really. I mean, I think that's the life journey, certainly mine,
Yeah.
from the head to the heart. And when you were speaking there, I reminded of I think if we're looking for peace in the world, it has to start in our own hearts. The
Mm,
only place where we have some sense of control, maybe,
yeah.
or external civil wars mirror the internal civil wars. Let me be the peacekeeper here in my
Yeah.
own brain. Gosh, the there's so much talk nowadays, Sharon, around wellness and well-being, and it's a big industry now. And I suppose we sort of are in that industry, and
Oh, we are.
sometimes sometimes it can be, hijacked for the wrong reasons and the wrong motivations. But when you think of wellness and well-being, what does it really mean beyond the buzzwords?
So wellness for me, I suppose, is a path. It's a pursuit of, health. It's like you're going after to be physically well, and, somebody that wants to reach a target, all of those things, and eat the right food and all of sleep,
Yes.
everything, which is great. Well-being is for me almost walking alongside yourself on the path and being your own best friend and feeling fulfilled, like we were talking about, in where you are right now, even if it's not where you think you should be, because the
Yes.
should always comes into it,
Yes.
or that you're not doing enough or whatever. But it's actually coming in and find that inner harmony within yourself. And I wrote something for you, and I'd like to read it for you.
Oh, please, thank you.
Yes. So I always say that wellness and well-being are like sacred partners, each giving meaning to the other. So if we think about them as, for me, it's like, again, I love nature and I love the garden. I'm not a great gardener, I promise you that, but it just offers me such solace. I watch nature grow, I watch the birds, I take so much from it. So I wrote the garden within. In quiet earth, the seeds are sown with hands of love, not made of stone. Each breath, a watering from the soul. Each choice, a path toward becoming whole. The gardener wakes with morning light to tend the roots, to set things right, pulling weeds of fear and doubt, inviting peace to bloom throughout. She does not rush, nor strive for more, but walks barefoot across life's floor. She knows the joy is not just seen, but felt in spaces soft, serene. And when the blossoms rise and sway, not just in June, but every day, She smiles, for she has always known well-being is where love is grown.
Beautiful. And Sharon, you wrote that. You wrote that to share on the podcast. My goodness.
I can't describe sometimes in words that sound like it's supposed to. Again, it's the rhythm of life, the rhythm of nature, the rhythm of my heart, and the words find a rhythm to flow as I feel, and it makes sense to me. So if I, again, we can look up Google and get the term wellness and well-being.
Mm,
But again, the wellness and the well-being, it's like the gardener tending the garden. One doesn't live without the other. So for me, it is we need to look after our physical body, our mental, emotional health, but spiritually, it's what is the most value to us today? How can I feel more fulfilled in this moment, in this day, in this life as I am, where I am? And it's asking ourselves those questions. What do I need right now? If I
mm.
cannot give that to myself, well, then I need support around it. It's finding that person that we're going to connect with. You know, as you said, heart to heart, that it's going to be a support for us along that path, and that we will be always our best friend, even if we fall down and we take a side track and we get lost, and that we still remind ourselves that we're doing okay, we're doing the best that we can.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We are. I think everyone, that's a belief that I always hold there. You know, we're doing our best. Everyone
Absolutely.
is doing their best. The gosh, I'm sort of thrown by those words. And it's funny because obviously huge fan of nature. If anyone follows me on Instagram, half the stories are pictures of flowers and birds and trees.
I saw your
Um,
mindful moment story and the ducks going across, and I went, yes,
I
I'm there
know.
with you.
And this weather in the early morning walks, it's balm for the soul, as the phrase would
Oh,
be.
yes.
But there's so many analogies to do with nature that I think is just where the soul wisdom resides. You know, one of my go-to ones is the sowing the seeds, and some
Yes.
seeds fall on barren land and tend the soil, and there's so many ways
Mm.
we can use that. Going back to something we had mentioned earlier, there's no there. We're always on our journey, and that's just part of life. I think it was Oprah who said, life's always trying to teach us something, but are we listening?
Hmm.
And if we don't listen to the whispers, they get louder and louder. Have you found, Sharon, that there's something that life keeps reminding you of, or another layer to the lesson, or something you didn't get the first time around? Because I know I certainly do.
Every day. And again, that's where the conversations take place in my own mind and heart is not valuing myself enough, not valuing my own time, and that my own time is so important and it should take priority, even if there are so many clients and people looking for you, that we can't do any of this if we're not well in ourselves, if we don't look after us. So it's to value my time. But also, as you said, when you read in the introduction, and I said, oh my God, when you sit back and you hear
Yes.
among the things you've done in that small paragraph, it's like you do tend to forget how much you've actually given of your time and of your knowledge and wisdom and energy to others. And we talked about the ripple effect,
Yes.
James, me and you, and that, yes, I know there is people that have gone on and done amazing things, and I've never heard back from them. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just hear about it. But and in one sense, and that was it used to kind of, I suppose, in the early days, I said, oh, why didn't they let me know that
Yeah.
they're doing so well? And then I realized they don't have to. I was just part of the stepping stone for them to get them to where they needed to go. It was just the guidance and support they needed. But that was a little bit of my own self-worth, feeling like that, well, they didn't value obviously what I helped them with. And then, of course, they did, because look where they are now.
Yes.
So it was nearly like validation. It was like I needed to be validated by others to value myself. And now I don't need that validation, but I need to value myself even without the work. I need to value my space and time in who I am at this moment. Like even sitting down to write those words for you, it was to value that I could share that. openly on a podcast. They're not just in my journal or written down in one of my
Yes.
notebooks. Is that what I feel is of value? What I share is of value. What you share is of value. It's so much like when I listened to your episode on resilience. It was so powerful. I've sent it to loads of people because I'm like, well, I celebrate the resilience of the human spirit every day and on my podcast. And I thought you just captured it so beautifully when you spoke of it. And even where you spoke about, meeting your younger self for
Mhm.
coffee. Oh my God, James, I told you. I was sitting there and I was like, wow, how powerful to go back and meet with our younger selves. It's
Yeah.
so powerful. And instead of berating them and telling them they didn't do enough or they were hurt or they were this, congratulate them,
Mm, mm,
celebrate them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Sharon, because I think it's something that will resonate with a lot of people.
Mhm.
Um, um, because it's certainly resonating with me. Um, we better give the website again for people who want to find out more about you and all your services. Sharon Fitzmaurice, mindfulness.com.
.com.
And of course, your podcast as well. You've been podcasting since 2020. And that's the Sharon Fitzmaurice podcast. And that's available on all platforms as well, I think. And as I said, I've listened to many
Absolutely.
of them. And I've subscribed and it's weekly episodes. I don't know how you keep producing them because they're always of such a high standard as well, and a
No.
great cross section of guests.
Thank you. Consistency, and it's something I'm trying to stay consistent with, but obviously we'll be taking a little break in the summer.
Yeah,
But again, it's like this, James. I love the conversations. I love learning from others, and everybody's story is just so inspiring to me, where they've been in their life, where they are now, and what they're sharing with others. Again, to inspire and that other people can learn. That was the whole reason I started my podcast, is that I can't support everybody,
yeah,
but with guests, I can share different topics, different experiences, and out of all of those, the listeners or viewers then will be able to maybe get a little tool or technique or
yes,
support that will help them on their journey.
yes, yeah. We better move towards close today, Sharon. I knew this would be the case. We will just keep going and going, and I said it'd be like the Sharon and James
Ah,
podcast.
James, stay for a
Part
few more
part
hours.
part three, part four, part five. We could do a whole series. I
Yeah.
know. I know. There might be a few people listening in who do feel stuck and who do feel challenged and who are maybe not quite sure what the next step could be for them or feeling a bit lost. And everyone is different, so there's no quick fix to this. But based on your experiences, there are one or two ideas or suggestions that you might offer them that could be of benefit to them in their own journeys.
Yeah. So again, as we said, everyone is different and you'll experience different ways of feeling and thinking in your own life, and you don't have to be the same as anybody else. And you may have heard of other people doing this, that, and the other, and
Yes,
it really helped them, and you should do it too,
yes,
but you're not feeling it. So I would ask you to again sit with yourself, like I spoke about that daily reflection, hand on heart, just listen for a moment. And even if it is hard to do that because you don't want to hear what's being said inside of your mind and your heart, even to write it down. What is it that's really overwhelming you at this moment? Just write one sentence and then write underneath it, what is it I need the most? And you
mm-hmm.
may be surprised at what comes out. So in the moment, what is the hardest thing I'm experiencing right now? It doesn't matter what your story was, just what is the hardest thing right now? And what is it I need right now? Work with right now. And then underneath that, if you don't know how to give yourself what you need, you just don't know yet. You
Mm,
don't know yet. Because the minute we open up to the willingness that we will find that support or that answer or that solution or that person or that therapist or that whatever, we're opening up the energy. We're not closing ourselves off. So I don't have the answer yet. I don't know what or where I'm going to get it yet. Put the yet at the end of it because energetically you're opening up and now your mind is starting to look for people or places or groups or whatever it is that you say, oh, I never noticed that before. Maybe I could go there.
Mm.
Just start with those two questions and at the end say, I don't know yet, or I can't find it yet,
Yes.
but know it is there for you. And each and every one of us, when we open up, and there's your surrender and trust that we were talking about, James. And one of the things I have been blessed with in my life is opening up completely and asking, please give me the person or the opportunity that is going to help me in the most positive way of my mind, my heart, my soul, and in my life. And I mean it, and I have said it from the moment I opened my practice. I had a positive intention. I've never looked back from that day. And people say, do you get awkward people and all of that? And I said, no, everyone is dealing with something just like you are. But I said, if you meet yourself and you meet others where they are without any expectations, we can allow ourselves to be truly authentic.
Mm.
And that's why I always say I show up as myself, and I don't always say the right thing. Sometimes I let an old curse slip out, but I just laugh now
It's
because I go,
human.
yes, I'm just me. And if I pretend to be like I used to try and pretend to be happy and all of those things, I'm surely going to slip up and make a mistake. And then I'm going to judge myself again. So this way, if I'm just
Yeah.
me, I
Yeah.
don't have to show up and pretend to be that person again. You just show up as you are.
Yes, yes, and it's easier because it's not performance.
Absolutely.
And when you were speaking there, I was reminded of the old ask and you shall receive,
Yeah.
because that's what you were doing. And I know for me, I'm probably good at the asking. I'm not so good at the receiving. But that's probably another podcast for another day, a different
Definitely.
topic.
We could have another
Um,
hour on that, James.
but I think in the great yin yang of life, there's up and down, in and out, hot and cold. There is give and there is receive, and I think probably for many people tuning in, we can be expert givers. We're not quite as good with the balance side of it, and allowing ourselves to receive. So what you have shared there, it has really struck a chord, Sharon, for sure.
Yeah. And it's just even reminding, just when you say that, it is, we do deserve to receive, each
Yeah.
and every one of us, no matter what our past has been. But if you have to start receiving from yourself first, you have to give and receive from yourself first before you can allow others, to give you and that you can receive it. It's like a compliment. If I said, James, your shirt is amazing, you look fabulous, and you said, oh, this old shirt,
Yeah.
this is years old, instead of just saying thank you. And it's one of the things that we do quite a lot. We push away
Mm.
instead of receiving it into our heart and just saying thank you.
Mm.
So every day, give yourself that time, that few moments to reflect on those little questions and to just sit and be with yourself and just to receive, even if it's just quiet, even if it's just pause for a few moments. We all go to the bathroom, we're all in showers, we all have time in the car. There is loads of spaces where you can do that for yourself.
Lovely, lovely
Mm.
reminder.
Yeah.
Speaking of questions, I have a few. I won't call them rapid fire ones, but
Yeah.
they'll bring us to the close. Um,
You'll never get out of here.
no, as I say, it'll be part two. What's your most cherished possession, Sharon?
My engagement ring. And the amazing thing is, I have looked around my home and thought, is there anything else I would ever bring with me if I had to, if it was an emergency? And there is nothing. I don't have attachment to material items as such, but my engagement ring, not because of its value, because it's not really valuable, but it was the story behind it. And because I married the man that gave it to me, my lovely husband, John, who I adore. And I cherish it. I
Yeah,
cherish it because of the memory.
yeah, and it's precious.
Mm,
It's precious. You are such an inspirational person, but who or what inspires you, Sharon?
my children.
Okay.
Yeah, my children, they have taught me so much. You think you know it all sometimes when you are the adult, but I can tell you what, you don't know it all because parenting makes you just start to relearn everything again. But letting or allowing myself to see the wonder through my children's eyes again, a new thing, it taught me how to embrace life even more. Again, not being able to control who they'll be, how they'll learn, how they'll grow, the choices and decisions they'll make in their lives. We're, again, you read it in my book about the poem my mother wrote for my sister
Oh,
Manu,
yes.
and
Yes.
that God is only lending them to us and that we only have them for a short time. That is something I've been reminded of. And even as they are now adult children, they're adults, that one is in Australia, one is living in Galway City, that they don't need to feel obliged to be with us, that they should never feel obliged. A child should never feel obliged. Oh, I have to be home to my
Yes.
parents, or I have to do whatever. That they have. We've brought them up. I said, we raised them to give them wings so that they could fly to new places and experience new things, and that we've given them the grounding or the foundation, hopefully, to live a good quality of life for themselves. We still have no control over it because it's their journey. So they have taught me a huge amount about control and letting go and surrendering. And I think they're inspirational because even though they're very young, they have faced many challenges in their lives themselves. And even my 24-year-old son moving to Australia on his own, I thought back when I was 24 and I fell
Yes.
apart. I broke down, and where he is in his life and the courage to go to a different country thousands of miles away and create this new adventure for himself, even though he was nervous about doing
Yes.
it. I just
Yes.
think they're
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Mhm.
We spoke about we're always learning and growing. Is there any book, podcast, anything that you're learning and enjoying at the minute, Sharon?
Well, there is this Your Time with James Sweetman. I wonder
Oh,
if you've heard of
you're
them.
not you're not prompted, you're not paid to say
No, and
that.
it is because I really am enjoying them, and it's a thing I do as well is to sit with it. So it's something, and as I said, James, and I said that to you, it's your voice. And when I heard you in social media fest speaking, it was the tone, it was your voice, and it reached my heart, not just my head. So yes, I compliment you on that because I'm loving listening to your episodes now. I listened to the one with BB Baskin, which
Yeah.
was amazing as well. The books I'm reading at the moment, well, I've just finished two. One was Barren by Biddy Lee, an Irish author from Armagh, and it is a fascinating book. Oh my God, I couldn't leave it down. I didn't want it to be over. I just interviewed her chatted
Yes.
with her,
She
should
was on your
say.
podcast.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing lady. I loved it. And the other one I just finished is Raising Resilience, another Irish author, Tracy Holmes. And she's talking about her own personal life experience through maternal mental health, having premature babies, one of them being diagnosed with Down syndrome. And she speaks, like me, so raw and honestly, not the fluffy side of,
Yes.
feeling a bit down. She was on her knees, ready
Yes.
to run away. Amazing. So, Raising Resilience by Tracy Holmes, the two of those, as I said, I'm looking at the two ladies, their stories. One is fiction, one is nonfiction, obviously, and the elements of themselves that are in those books. That's what I love. I love feeling the person that has written it, even if I've never
Yes.
met them, and
Yeah.
feeling their stories coming through, even in the nonfiction. So that's what I've read at the moment, and I have three bookshelves in there ready to be picked out at any moment, James. Now, so we don't know. Someone's going to be very lucky to get me reading them next.
Where would we be without our books?
Oh, I
The
love them.
Here's two more questions to go. What was something that you maybe saw as a failure or a setback at the time, Sharon? But when you look back on it, you see it as a gift or a blessing now.
Okay, my first marriage.
Okay. That would be another podcast episode for sure.
Yes, so I would have seen myself as a failure because of that, and there was no divorce in Ireland, all of that stuff. But it was a blessing in disguise because if it didn't happen, I wouldn't have had that complete breakdown, I feel, and I wouldn't have met my wonderful husband, John, now. And yes, so I'm grateful for the breakdown.
And it's our path. It's
Yeah,
our path, and we're never gone off our path. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Last one, as I say, I know when I listen back to this episode, there will be so many gems of wisdom I want to take from it, including that beautiful poem you shared.
Mm.
Um, we both love our words and we both love our sort of quotes, but is there a favorite quote or a motto or words that are precious to you, Sharon?
Yeah. And it was lovely because I have written down quotes over the years and I've kept them in a
Yes.
little book. But I picked out One, of course, is Maya Angelou, and it's my
Okay.
mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style.
Oh, well. I know many Maya Angelou quotes, but that one I've not heard before. Give it
Mm.
to us again. Give it to us
I
again.
love it
Yeah.
because it sums me up because of the way it is. I just love the
Yes.
passion in it. My mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive. And to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style.
That sums it up. That sums
Yes.
it up. That's you, Sharon. You're doing it. You're living it. You're an example of it. You're an example to all of us. Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Um,
James.
what a pleasure. What a quick hour.
Oh my God, that's what I said. This is dangerous because we could just stay talking forever. But again, it's nice to have a guideline because sometimes we can just keep talking. And I think what we've covered and the way you have brought this conversation together is beautiful, James. So thank you so much
I
for,
think, oh gosh, my pleasure. I know we both come into it with an intention to enjoy the conversation, which I
yeah,
certainly have, and maybe to put something out into the world that people tuning in will find of benefit.
yeah.
And give us your website there one more time, Sharon, for people tuning in.
Sharon Fitzmaurice, mindfulness.com.
And you'll find out all about Sharon's services, the one-to-one coaching, the retreats. I might be going myself. I think I could do
Oh, come. Oh, do come. Come to the one in October. You'll love it.
that. Would I be the only man in the room? Because that has happened before.
Sometimes, yes, and sometimes
Sometimes.
we get a group of men that don't know each other, but we've had a
Yeah.
few times where we've had one male and he loved it. He was blessed because
Oh.
the women were going, "Oh my God, isn't he so great at being able to show his emotions?"
Yes. Well, there's many rooms where I'm blessed art thou amongst women, so
Yes.
it's something I'd be looking into for sure.
Yeah.
Sharon, you're a gem. Thank you for joining me this week. What a lovely way to finish this season of my podcast.
Aw.
But I know we'll stay connected.
We definitely will. Absolutely, James. You are a gem yourself, and what you're doing and offering to people is amazing. So, yes, I think you need to value yourself even more and congratulate yourself because through your kindness and reaching out to me, look where we are now, having
Yeah,
this lovely conversation. So, well
yeah.
done, you.
Oh, thank you, Sharon.